Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Fall 2021 edition of A Flutist for All Seasons. Through this vlog, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee of the NFA hope to highlight some of the innovative work that is being forged by the incredibly diverse and versatile members of the National Flute Association. I'm your host, Elizabeth Janzen, and today's interview is with Kini Slaughter, who goes by Kini. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we hear from her. Kini is a native Georgian and pursued undergraduate and graduate studies in flute performance as a scholarship student in South Carolina and in Georgia. She is currently serving as program coordinator for the Arts Exchange, an arts and social justice nonprofit organization near Atlanta, Georgia, and also works remotely as director of event operations at the ASH Academy, a California arts and STEM nonprofit providing resources for students of color. She is a 2021 Diversity Fellow with the Association of Fundraising Professionals, Greater Atlanta Chapter. Welcome, Kini. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
Thank you. I'm excited to speak to you as well.
So let's dive right in. Could you please start by telling our audience a little bit about how you developed and pursued an interest in flute playing?
I started the flute when I was about 11 years old. And I went to the store. I will never forget this. I went to the store with my family and I'm, kind of tinkering with different instruments. I picked up the violin, of course, someone having no experience, but hearing that awful shriek, right? That you always get when you have not studied. And I said, okay, that's not for me. I remember the clarinet having the reed, and I was like, I don't want anything extra to keep up with. So I literally picked up the flute. I wanted to do the harp, and my mother gently reminded me just how expensive that might be to start off with. But the flute I played, and of course, like I think every beginner flute got a little dizzy, but I was like, 3 pieces, assemble and go. Let me try that. And so, I loved it enough to continue from middle to high. And I'll never forget, I had asked this young woman, I said, what do you do? I was already a competitive swimmer from the time I was 8. So you would think that it would dawn on me, just like I have a swim coach to help me improve and to give me guidance and chastise as well. I need that for flute in order to get better. And so she gave me the name of her flute teacher, which is Mr. Kelly Vai, who's also part of the National Flute Association and professor at Mercer University here in Georgia. And so, and I haven't seen Kelly in a long time, but he was an amazing, amazing teacher.
As I was reading more about you, one of the things that really stood out to me, Kini, was that much of your education and later your career has also involved interdisciplinary arts. How did you develop an interest in these, and how did your flute playing influence some or any of those endeavors?
That is due to my parents. My parents did not necessarily grow up attending ballets and things like that. They grew up with a family of 13 other people with my mother and 7 others with my father in Memphis, Tennessee. So wow. There was not that opportunity, unfortunately, for them to have a lot of cultural enrichment. And so I think when they went to school and started working, they just made that determination, we're going to expose her to the arts. I think with all the performing arts, I know people like to kind of divide them more, and there are differences. But I think music is a unifying factor when it comes to that. Words are very powerful when it comes to poetry too, but it's all fun. I think it always came, I guess I just realized from observing someone doing that and saying, this is my chance to get down on the paper what I want to say. I hope that people learn not to be so surprised that someone is a flutist and a singer, or they're a singer and a dancer, because the performing arts, they really all go hand in hand. They really do.
Why did you decide to become a member of the National Flute Association? What interested you in that organization?
This pandemic honestly has reminded me how much I miss practicing, and how much I would like to just re-engage and be around flutists a lot more. There's nothing like talking to people who have similar struggles and similar victories.
What role has your heritage, culture, or background played in the development of your flute playing as well as your career?
Knowing that there are African American composers and even fewer African American women composers, just trying to do my best in seeking them out. They may not all be by folks that you've heard of either. It doesn't mean that the literature is not absolutely superb. So I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious of that. If I walk on stage, people are waiting to see, what is she going to do? Is she going to be good? They don't have that assurance automatically. You do have to kind of prove. I want people to see, whatever preconceived notions they have, as soon as you hit a note, I want them to know that, okay, this is, and so maybe the next time you won't have that preconceived notion. You'll say, for every person that walks on stage, let's see. I actually did want to be a professor for very many years. But since that door, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now about career preparedness. And I definitely want people to know, don't be afraid of what I call cold emailing. Don't be afraid of cold calling.
Yes,
and saying,
absolutely.
Hey, this is what I've done so far. I'm an intern and I want to know more about this. If I think we've got to remember that flute playing is amazing. It always will be, but maybe to incorporate other tools, other skills in our toolbox.
Who is your favorite flutist? It can be of all time, in any genre, fictional or non-fictional. Who is your inspiration as a flutist?
Probably inspiration would be a woman named Jeannie Carreri, who owns a shop called Prairie Music here in Atlanta. She is the principal flutist of the Atlanta Ballet Orchestra, but her sound is a wall of power. Prior to meeting her, it was just, I was only hearing tones that were light and airy, and didn't have that platinum, kind of deeper color. And I was just like, oh, this is what the flute can do. But I think in terms of maybe a performing artist, probably just Nestor Torres. So I was listening to Mi Tierra by Gloria Estefan, and I was like, who is that? I don't sound like that. That's a unique sound. It was just a tone that I hadn't heard of, and kind of let me know that there are other sounds that I can explore. And I think that's kind of why thank God, both of my professors were, generous, I guess, in letting me explore and having those 20th century pieces.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kini, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Maybe we'll see you in Chicago. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much. I definitely plan on being there. I'm ready to be around that many flutists and be able to kind of share stories. So and hopefully provide some motivation as well if I can. So
absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye.